So, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Ryerson University's. Specifically, we're doing a presentation on the Faculty of Communication and Design. I'll just take 2 minutes to talk a little bit about Ryerson. We like to call ourselves as a world of possibilities, and why we do like to do that in terms of apart from providing you all a world class education, there is so much more that we do in terms to make sure that our students are career ready when they graduate. Our location is downtown Toronto. We are right in the heart of the city, which helps us get, have great industry connections and help you all get the best placements once you all graduate. So that is something to also kind of consider. And we are not a typical campus based university. We are an urban campus and supremely proud of that. So that is the one really big USP of the university. The next slide, please. So we have about 45,000 students on campus, of which 36,700 are undergraduate students. So we are a highly undergraduate focused university, providing 60 plus undergraduate programs in terms of majors and 55 plus minors to pick and choose from. And we have students coming in from 146 different countries across every year. So there is a lot of diversity in the city and on campus for you to kind of feel a part of the community and overall as a whole. Okay, next slide, please. So that is my colleague, and I think Hitain and Kizna have kind of already spoken to you. So I am going to hand it over to Aileen. She is our student recruitment marketing officer for the Faculty of Communication and Design. This faculty houses 15 of our specializations at the undergraduate level. So I highly recommend seeing what all the faculty has to offer and learn more from her. So over to you, Aileen, and take it away.
Yeah, hi everyone. Super excited to be here, broadcasting to you right from Toronto. So very excited to be here, and thank you for coming in and to listening to this presentation. As Shreya said, I am here to talk about the future of creativity. I'm actually here to give you a sneak peek into what the Faculty in Communication and Design have to do and have to show for the next couple of years, because we're actually under a time of flex. We're actually rebranding. And our new name is going to be called the Creative School. Not only are we the future of the creativity, but we're creativity right now. And for us, creativity is all about making a difference in new, untapped ways. Creative can mean so many things in different areas, but to us, it's all about new ways of thinking, making, and doing. Now, because of that, the Creative School is like no other place on earth. We are about making a difference in a new, creative ways. And it's built on the legacy of an established track record of over 7 decades. For over 7 decades, we've been making creative change makers that not only enter and work in the field, but also disrupt it, remake it, rebrand it, basically reinvent everything about the creative industries. We're entering into our 8th decade, and we are a global center of media and creative innovation. As I've mentioned before, as a disruptor of innovative education, FCAT is dedicated to the developing creators with an authentic voices that engage directly with the creative industries and in the world. What does this mean for you? Well, it means you'll be landing professional jobs. You'll have a stimulating learning experience. You'll be exposed to entrepreneurial culture, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. You'll be given the skills and habits of mind to be a transdisciplinary thinker. Through hands-on learning and applied research, you'll be prepared to address real-world problems, and you'll be given global learning opportunities. We do this by keeping you connected, by keeping you innovative, and by disrupting the status quo. How do we do that? Well, we do that through 15 amazing programs that we are leaders in. Our fashion program, for example, has been recognized worldwide. And again, these are just the 15 programs within the Faculty of Communication and Design. At Ryerson, we have many more programs. But if you're interested in really taking that next step to have a creative career, to really take creativity and make a career out of it, we're probably the right place for you. And we have 15 programs. I'm just going to highlight a few of them today to give you an idea. But if you have questions about any of these, feel free to ask us in the chat box. There will be some time to answer any and all of your questions. Before I talk about a few, you will notice that some of the programs have asterisks next to their names. These are programs that require non-academic requirements. So alongside your application and your grades, it also might require some sort of non-academic requirement. So for acting, for example, that's doing an audition. For professional music, that's submitting a demo. I'm going to highlight a few of these programs. I'm going to first talk about fashion. Like I said, fashion is ranked internationally across the world. Azure Magazine always ranks it as the top 10 fashion schools in the world. And what's amazing about fashion is that students actually complete 400 total work hours of work experience before they graduate. We want to give you those real life experiences so that when you graduate, you are prepared for the workplace. We also have amazing courses. One I'd like to highlight is called the Live Event Super Course. It basically integrates the School of Fashion, the School of Creative Industries, and Performance for a 2-credit course, which means that it's a full year course, and it's all about live entertainment, how to actually put on a live event. Why would you need to know that in fashion? Well, we actually host a live event every single year. It's called Mass Exodus. Mass Exodus is the largest student-run fashion show in all of North America. It's an annual runway show showcasing the graduating classes' designs for fashion. And again, that class in live entertainment is going to prepare students for putting on this show. Because within our fashion program, it's not just about fashion design. That is actually one of 5 concentrations you can take. You could also take classes in fashion leadership, textiles and materials, or a really popular one is fashion communications. Fashion communications is all about the business side of fashion, right? Who are you contacting? If you work for a designer, how do you get them on the cover of a magazine? How do you put on these runway shows? How do you contact the media in order for this brand to develop and grow? So within fashion, you have 5 concentrations that you can really explore, and you can choose any one of them to really concentrate on or none at all. That's the kind of luxury that you have here at the Creative School. Another program that's really unique to Ryerson is called Creative Industries. Creative Industries, again, is a program that's all about the business side of the creative process. So for example, the business side of movies, the business side of the music industry, the business side of publishing, etc. Outland in the world has many people behind the scenes working on the business side. And that this takes a unique set of skills. And we're the only place that can give you those unique set of skills in this unique way. At Ryerson, we prepare students for their future employments by sending them on internships. So in creative industries, we've sent students, for example, to Universal Music that represents artists like the Jonas Brothers, Katy Perry, Billie Eilish, The Weeknd, and more. And through those experiences, not only do you get that practical business experience, but you're able to see firsthand how these businesses are different when it's embedded in a creative atmosphere. One of our students actually recently graduated. One of his first jobs is actually to work for a YouTube channel called Watch Mojo. It's a YouTube channel that I actually frequently watch because I like top 10 lists. And he actually edits the top 10 list for all their sporting events. This is a job he got almost straight out of university because of the skills he learned in creative industries. Speaking of unique programs, we have programs like film and sport media. Sport media is very unique because I don't think there's another program like it in all of North America. At least there's definitely not in Canada. But this is a program that really surrounds the sport entertainment. So when you watch sports on TV right now, the Olympics are going on. When you watch that on TV, that takes a lot of people to put together. You're thinking about like the people who are working behind the cameras, the producers, the presenters, the experts behind the scenes, the people who are deciding what shot to go to make sure you're watching exactly what's important in that exact moment. Well, all of that takes a lot of broadcasting skills, and those are the kind of broadcasting skills that we specialize in the sport media program. As you can see, we have plenty more programs. The list goes on. One of my favorite programs is the film program. I'm a little bit of a film junkie. I love film. I love everything to do with film. But students have the opportunity to actually work with cameras. When 4K cameras I was actually able to work with them as a student, which is awesome. You're going to be creating films. You're going to be creating projects that you could actually submit to top international film festivals, such as the Toronto International Film Festival, that actually coincidentally comes right on campus. One of the biggest festivals in the world, the prelude to the Oscars, is right in downtown Toronto, but it's more than that. It's right on campus. So students very often tend to go and try to scout out their favorite celebrities. I actually majored in media production. There's lots to talk about in that program, but what I love talking about it is that the Hollywood Reporter actually ranked it one of the top 15 schools to study film in the world. And media production is all about all types of media. So it encompasses television, radio, and more. So if you're a student who wants to create while they're students and keep all the copyright for everything that they create and maybe submit it to film festivals while they're a student, you can do that at Ryerson. You can do that inside the Faculty of Communication and Design. But because we're a university, research and development is also extremely important to us. We like to consider ourselves the center of innovation, which means that we are interested in making sure that we're at the forefront of research in all of our fields. That's why we make sure that our professors and students have access to spaces and resources to continue their research. The Catalyst, for example, is the home to 15 unique centers and labs of research. They have scholars studying things like creating wearable technology embedded in fashion and more. And we actually help them do that by giving them a space dedicated to that research, as well as resources. Rubik's is an annual event that we host that showcases not only the creative work of our student and professors, but the research behind all of that. And beyond that, every single year, the university spends millions of dollars to fund research because we know how important it is in order to move forward. We really aren't about keeping the status quo. We want to change the status quo. We want to innovate, disrupt, create, and the only way to do that is through innovation, is through research. I spoke a little bit before about entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is one of the foundations, it's one of the pillars that the creative school or the Faculty of Communication and Design really stand by. Something that's unique to Ryerson and is its dedication to entrepreneurship. And we do that in the creative school through many ways, but one of the ways is through zone learning. What are zones? Well, we have 3 zones inside the creative school: the transmedia zone, the fashion zone, and the design fabrication zone. We also have the music den, which is housed inside the transmedia zone. And what are zones? Zones are incubators or hubs where a student like you can take a business idea and grow it while they're still students. We're going to give you access to an office space, a mentor, workshops on things like grant writing and building a business. We're also going to give you chances to work with other students from different faculties, from different programs in order to really take a well-rounded business and take it off the ground. And we've had so many success stories. It's incredible. I actually worked within the transmedia zone. I actually developed a 12-episode web series while I was there, and I was able to do that with the resources that the transmedia zone gave me. A bigger, more successful company is called iDesigns. iDesigns has been mentioned in so many news outlets around here. I definitely recommend you checking them out. It's AILLE on Instagram especially. Basically, it's a fashion line that embeds Swarovski crystals into fashion wear, but does so in Braille. So you can actually, all the wording on the pieces of art, on the pieces of fashion are actually in Braille, and they're 100% readable to someone who's visually impaired. And this is really, again, taking that next step into fashion. We don't want to do that status quo. We're really about bringing it to the next level. You might have also heard of a company called Inkbox. If you haven't heard of Inkbox, you might have heard of Stranger Things on Netflix. Inkbox is a temporary tattoo company. They actually started in one of our zones, built the business, and now they have deals with Netflix. All of the tattoos that you see on Netflix's Stranger Things are actually provided for by this company because they're temporary. They kind of like fade away. So you can imagine that an actor might not want a full tattoo 100% of the time. So that this company, again, started with an idea by students, grew into a business, and now is making millions of dollars and has amazing international deals. Beyond that, even if you don't have an idea, even if you're thinking, hey, that sounds really cool, but I don't know what I could actually pitch to one of these zones. I don't know if I have that idea. I'm more interested in learning from entrepreneurs. I'm more interested in being a part of that startup culture. You can still do that in zone learning. Because like I said, when you're in a zone, we like to bring students and people from all different programs, from all different faculties. So that means you can work in the fashion zone, even if you're not a fashion student. And you can work on one of the companies within the fashion zone, get that hands-on experience, work with a startup company, even before you graduate, even if you're not the business owner, right? You can work on their marketing side. You can work on their PR side, whatever the case may be. You might make videos for them. We like to bring students into these spaces because we want them to graduate with real life skills. Beyond that, we actually not only bring students into spaces of business, we bring businesses into our classrooms. We have industry partners like Google, Cirque du Soleil, CBC, Bell Media, Amazon, and so many more. I'm actually going to show you a list. The list goes on. There's many more beyond this. But when I say we bring them into the classroom, we really do. Not only do students have opportunities to connect through internships in order to work for many of these companies and more, but we actually have many school projects embedded with these companies. So I'll give you an example. When I was a student, I was, again, studying media production. We actually had CBC, which is the Canadian Broadcasting Company, come into our classrooms. And a few years ago, Canada celebrated 150 years of being a country. And so we actually, our class project was, we were commissioned by the CBC, the Canadian Broadcasting Company, to create videos featuring local change makers in our community to broadcast to Canada through the CBC Facebook page. So now I can say, I can put it on my resume that I've created a video for the Canadian Broadcasting Company. And that's a huge accomplishment, right? Most people have to wait till after they graduate, but I actually did that in class, got school credit for it, and was able to put it on my resume. Something that's unique about Ryerson, and specifically the Faculty of Communication and Design, or as the Creative School, which is what we're going to be naming it come September, we bring in technology, the highest in the industry. And to do so, we do so because we want our students to be able to use these technologies and know how to use these technologies before they graduate, before they enter the workforce. As you can see on the screen, there's a picture of a robotic arm, for example. So when you think of a robotic arm, you probably aren't thinking about creative industries. You're probably a little confused. You're like, why is there a robotic arm? I want to learn about fashion or film or interior design. How does that really relate? Well, it actually really does, because even though that a creative arm is usually seen in an industrial setting, it's actually really useful in a creative school. The greatest part about the creative school is that we're an interdisciplinary space for students, right? We want students to explore, to go out of their comfort zone, to really maximize technology, to really use everything at their disposal. So this means that even if you're a film student, you can be trained on how to use big machinery. Even if you're a student that will maybe never again have the opportunity to work with a robotic arm, we want to give you that opportunity to do it while you're with us, because who knows, it might come in handy later on. In the screen, you're seeing a picture of actually a dancer. Dancing, a dancer, a robotic arm. That's something that I definitely would never have put together. However, what we did was we had this robotic arm. It's industrial. It's at the highest grade possible of its class. And we were like, how can students make this creative? So we let students pitch what they could do with this. And this was one of the winners. She actually created a dance, a contemporary dance with the robotic arm as her partner, which you can find on YouTube. So I definitely recommend doing that. But this is what we do in the creative school. We take something that you wouldn't put together and we maximize it. We do that. We give you the resources in order to do that. We had an audience set up. We were able to live broadcast this, and she was able to perform a piece of art with this robotic arm. We merge worlds that wouldn't normally be merged together in order to create something beautiful and amazing. We know that students are eager to travel the world, especially after the couple of years that we've just had. We want to give students the opportunity to travel while they're still students. And that can look like a number of things. It can look like an exchange. We have over 80 partner institutions across the world, and students usually can take a formal exchange sometime in their third year. But it could also look like so many other things. Maybe a full year exchange or a term exchange is too much. You're like, I don't really want to do that. I'm looking for something a little bit shorter. Well, you can take an intensive class, for example. So we have intensive international classes where students can take up to 2 weeks, and it's a full class. It's abroad, and you get to do that class abroad. So for example, we have a class called RTA in LA. RTA in LA is for students in our film program, our media production program, new media or sport media, as well as anyone else who it would relate to. And basically, it is a chance for you to, we actually take students to Los Angeles. We house them in UCLA, And we invite actual Hollywood representatives, people from Hollywood, working professionals, to the classroom. There, they discuss their experiences. They discuss how they broke into Hollywood, what they do in Hollywood. And when I'm talking about Hollywood professionals, I'm not just talking about anyone. I'm talking about like really important people. We had the showrunner of The Handmaid's Tale come to speak to our students. We had producers from The Brady Bunch, which is one of the biggest shows in the U.S. history, come to speak to our students. And the greatest part of it is that at the end of those 2 weeks, your big assignment is to actually pitch your own idea to an actual Hollywood executive. So in theory, you could actually pitch your TV show idea to someone. They could love it, and you can end up coming back home with a Hollywood deal. You never know. We also have virtual collaborations. We have something called the Global Campus Studio. The Global Campus Studio is a class that you take right here in Toronto, in Canada at Ryerson University, but you're actually working with students from abroad. So this year, for example, our students actually worked with students in Seoul, in Korea, and they actually created projects. And their whole project this year was how to make creative industries survive COVID. Right, so they came up with different things. One of my favorite projects that came out of it was a music video about COVID-19, experiences that people have had being at home and the loneliness. And it was basically a music video that was made completely on Zoom, completely by these individuals, but it was also made across 2 continents, right? Like 2 students from the Seoul Institute and 2 students from Ryerson in Toronto. Because this year has been a weird year, we've had a lot of virtual experiences as well. For example, we have recently had a 6-week collaboration with students in RMIT, which is a university in Australia. Students had the opportunity to develop and design a project management portfolio for fashion design students in Australia. So they were able to work alongside the fashion students in Australia to create this really cool project, and they did so all virtually. Something that's unique about the Creative School or the Faculty of Communication and Design is that we have 4 international hubs located around the world. So we have one in London, one in New York, one in Italy, and one in Dubai. What's a hub? Basically, there are locations across the world where we have representatives from our university who are working with the industries of those locations to bring opportunities for our students. A really good example is the one in Italy. We have a location in Cortana, Italy. Every year we send a cohort of interior design students to Italy to redesign the interior of a medieval castle. They work with the actual local townspeople to emerge different ideas and how to create different designs to really boost up tourism, for example, in the area. So even if you are, no matter what you're studying in the Faculty of Communication and Design, no matter which one of the 15 programs, you probably will have the opportunity to go to one of these 4 hubs or anywhere else in the world, depending on what you want to do. But there are so many opportunities to go international while you're still a student with us. It's very unique to us, and we're really proud of it. And I mentioned those partner universities across the world. This is just a small sample. We have over 80 across the world. So there's really there's no limit to where you could go. And we're working on adding schools and adding connections and adding locations across the world every single day, every single year. All right, if this hasn't been clear already, I want to make it clear now. We really want to bring students into the creative school that can really make a difference in their fields. And we know that could be you sitting at home. We just want to give you the tools necessary to take those next steps. So we do that by embedding our education through many things. The first major thing that we want to give you is 21st century skills. We want to make sure that once you leave us, you're going to be able to have creative conversations with employers. We want to make sure that you're able to communicate with them. We want to make sure that you're open to collaboration, that you've tried a lot of different things that you can put on your resume to make you really stand out. We want to give you that global competence. Our world is really big, but so many companies are working across the world with different countries, with different continents. We want to give you some of that experience while you're still with us. We want to make sure that when you're looking at a problem, you're able to solve it using the skills that you've acquired at Ryerson. We're also very career focused. because of all those things that we're giving you while you're still a student, we want to make sure that you're super cool when you go up with your resume to an employer and they're like, wow, how does this person have this much experience in this many different things, in this many different cool, amazing opportunities before they've even graduated? How is that possible? Well, it's possible if you come to Ryerson. Beyond that, we want to make sure that our students are well-rounded, that their health is being taken care of, that you're making sure that you're being the best student that you can be. So that means that we have resources like the Student Success Center and the co-curricular, as well as many co-curricular activities. We have a health center right on campus that students can access. We have free counseling services that students can access. Plus, we have so many ways of getting involved, right? Even if you want to make friends and maybe you want to play some instruments, well, you can join musicians at Ryerson. We have a K-pop club. We have student unions that you can get involved in, so you can be a part of student government. There are so many opportunities to do so many things and to really broaden what you consider to be your passion, right? We want to make sure you kind of dip your feet into everything that you enjoy doing. And finally, our innovative curriculum. We have interdisciplinary courses. So that live super course I talked about before, you don't just have to be a fashion student to be a part of it. You can be in creative industries. You can be in other programs such as interior design and take that course if you're interested in it. We really believe that you can learn from your peers. And so bringing students from different programs together really is going to enrich your education. So we try to do that as much as possible. Equity, diversity, and inclusion is a part of our DNA here at Ryerson. And so we have many initiatives put in place, and we're building on these initiatives on a daily basis in order to make sure that our students all feel that they have had an equitable education. We have the ACAD EDI initiative, which is a new initiative to address systematic barriers and inequities within the faculty. We also have the Creative Equity Project, which is a new SRC center to really further the development and dissemination of diverse, creative, and inclusive narratives within the faculty. And finally, we have school-led plans. Every single program inside of our Faculty of Communication and Design is in the process of submitting proposals in order to really break down those barriers. And especially in the past couple of years, we've seen our programs really step it up and really make incredible strides to making sure that every single student within their program feels included and feels like they've received an equitable education. All right, I know I've talked a really long time. I do want to highlight some amazing graduates and what they've actually done with their degrees before I get to the Q&A. We're almost there. So the first graduate I'd like to highlight, her name is Alicia. She's actually a staff editor of the audience section and the New York Times. So she graduated from journalism. She started out her career by actually podcasting. She was a podcaster. She ended up landing a job at the Huffington Post in Canada, where she was a co-host to one of their podcast series. From there, she was actually was found by the New York Times and is now working as a full-time editor with the New York Times. Right, next is Jeremy Podeswa. Jeremy Podeswa is a graduate from our film studies program. You might not know who he is, but you probably know who the woman next to him is. That is that is Daenerys, Emilia Clarke from Game of Thrones. He actually is a TV director, so he's directed episodes from The Walking Dead, Boardwalk Empire, and Game of Thrones, as you can see on screen. I've been told he did not direct the finale of Game of Thrones, so don't come at us. It wasn't our fault. But you can see the amazing work that he has done since graduating from the film studies program, because that's what we do, right? We create professionals while you're with us. Next is Erdem, who is a fashion designer. He actually owns his own brand of women's clothing. It's called Erdem, like his first name. I really recommend Googling this after this presentation to see the amazing designs that he has created and the expansiveness of the brand, how famous it is. And as you can see, he's actually standing next to Keira Knightley there. That's actually on a night where he actually won a fashion award. I said before, I'm a bit of a movie junkie. I love movies. So if you're like me, you've probably recently seen, or in the past couple of years, you've probably recently seen Disney's live action Aladdin. It starred Will Smith. Who actually played Aladdin? Well, the actor's name is Mina Massoud, and he actually is a graduate of our acting program at Ryerson. So Aladdin himself went to Ryerson. and is doing amazing things. He also has some couple of new movies coming out now, and they're actually also working on an Aladdin sequel. So we will be able to tune into that very soon. If you are someone who loves comedies, if you like watching Netflix, you've probably heard of Dan Levy and his Netflix show called Schitt's Creek. And you can find that on Netflix if you haven't heard of it. It's quite funny. But what I like to talk about is the fact that Andrew Savidino was actually the director of the last episode of that series. And this past year, he actually won an Emmy for his work directing that show. And yeah, again, graduate from our program, has now gone on and done amazing things in Hollywood. For those who are unfamiliar, an Emmy is probably the biggest award you can get in television in the United States. So we're super proud of him and super excited to see what else he does in the future. Finally, I have two people to mention. One is called Sarah Jenkins. The other is Victor Finley. Both of them are actually graduates from our sport media program. They both graduated in 2018, and both of them are actually currently working on the broadcasting of the Olympics, which I don't know about you, but I'm obsessed with the Olympics right now. Sarah is actually a CBC sports producer, so she actually produces some of the shows and some of the little short documentaries that kind of go along with the Olympics. And Victor is actually the play-by-play commentator on men's field hockey. So it really just goes to show, even in sport media, even though it's so focused on the niche of sport, how broad it is, right? Because you can become a commentator, you can become a behind-the-scenes producer, you can become a cameraman, you can do lots of things in that program. And they've actually got started out with their training at Ryerson, because at Ryerson we have the Mattamy Athletic Center, which is a very big stadium in downtown Toronto, where our varsity athletes actually play sports. So our varsity athletes play hockey, they play basketball. And what's really cool is that we actually have our sport media students broadcast all those games. So even before they end up working in the field, they're already getting that experience. And although Sarah and Victor are graduates who are working at the Olympics, we actually also have student opportunities for students who are currently studying sport media to actually also work with the broadcasters to get that experience in the Olympics. So before they even graduate, they can say that they helped broadcast the Olympics. So with that, I know I've talked a really long time, but I really wanted to give an opportunity to have some time for Q&A. So I am going to open it up to questions. Hopefully there's some questions in the chat. I can't really see right now because I have this open. But if you have any questions for us, please let us know. Let me see. Oh, we do have some questions. Great. Let us know and we'll be able to answer them. So hi, everyone, again. All right, so someone is saying, I want to be an interior designer. That's an amazing program. I talked a little bit about it. Let me know if you have any additional questions about it. We have one of the top ranked interior design programs, definitely in the country. I would even say the world. And again, there's lots of international opportunities. You can go to Cortona, Italy, like I talked about. So yeah, if you have any additional questions, let me know. Give me 2 seconds, everyone. Let's see. Shreya, I just added you back. Let me know if there was any issues. Okay, which types of activities will be added to it? How will I make my essay for portfolio more attractive? Great question. So for your portfolio, I really recommend making sure that you're reading all of the requirements. They're really specific on our website as to what the requirements are and what we're looking for. The best way to make an impression is to follow them. I can't tell you how many students don't follow the necessary requirements and they're automatically disqualified because they're not able to listen to basic instructions. So the thing you can do to make your portfolio and essay more attractive is, first of all, follow instructions. Second, again, make sure you're not showing us the work you did last night. If you log onto the website right now, if you type in interior design Ryerson on Google, one of the first things that you'll see is our website. You can click, see the non-academic requirements. It'll actually break down what we're looking for last year. Every year they slightly change it, but even looking at last year's, you're going to be able to see what we're looking for. And by doing that, you're going to be able to start working on some pieces. Let's say one of the things that they do often is you have to make a portrait of a hand. Start working on that, right? If you do 10 and the last one is the greatest piece, that's great. If they do that again and they ask for that, you already have one in your back pocket that you can submit. All right, Shrey, I think it's just you and I right now.